Good evening, I'm Mi Jung Lee. Thanks for joining us for this special online edition of CTV News at 6. We begin with turmoil in the BC Conservative Party surrounding its leader, John Rustad. Tonight, Rustad reveals to CTV tactics in a campaign against him. CTV's Rob Buffum reports.
This was the start of the months-long leadership review back in June. John Rustad's caucus physically showing their support. Now, days from the end of that review, that support less certain.
Kind of normal in every family to have squabbles. Everybody's going to say, there's a few people that think they can do a better job.
The BC Conservatives leadership review has traveled the province. Tonight, the vote is in Kelowna, where the venue was changed to this hotel to accommodate a large influx of party members. Many apparently encouraged to vote against him, including with this banner expected to be set up across from the hotel. Loyal colleagues reject that Rustad's in trouble.
I think John is just fine. John is the leader we need right now.
Rustad's seemingly precarious hold on leadership fueled by a controversy over improper memberships in Kelowna. The party acknowledging 2,100 bogus memberships were discovered, noting, during an internal audit, we identified what we believe to be manufactured memberships. All of them were identified and promptly canceled. This is, unfortunately, all too common in leadership races and reviews for most parties. We are implementing new security systems to ensure this doesn't happen again. Premier Eby weighed in earlier this week.
Unbelievable allegations coming out. They are not fit to govern.
The plot thickens with more allegations. Rustad told me today there appears to be a breach of the BC Conservatives database with texts and emails sent to members in Kelowna attacking him and telling people not to vote for him. The review concludes Saturday in a Soyuz. The results will be known Monday with Rustad's caucus meeting that night. Whether the mood is as jovial as the early days seems unlikely.
Rob joins us live from Victoria. And Rob, as you mentioned, you talked to John Rustad today. What did he say about his chances of staying on as leader?
Well, Mijag, when I asked him that, he didn't answer directly, but he did say he believes in democracy and supports this process, calling this review the most transparent of any review amongst the parties, noting it is a 4-month process across the province. We'll find out the results of that review likely on Monday afternoon. The caucus can then weigh in. As you know, there's a distinction here between how they feel about it and the members. The caucus will have a meeting later in the day where they will have that information. But there's nothing in their constitution that would allow the caucus to oust Rustad. Mind you, the results of this review will likely be influential and significant, and tonight's vote will be particularly important. More people are expected to vote there than elsewhere. Mijang.
Rob Buffum tonight in Victoria. Premier David Eby is in Ottawa lobbying the federal government for more investments into infrastructure projects in BC. Eby met with Prime Minister Mark Carney last night before his trip to Mexico to talk about major projects in the province. BC currently has 2 of the 5 projects flagged by Ottawa last week for possible fast-tracking, including the second phase of LNG Canada and the Red Chris mine expansion. The Premier says it's crucial for the province to get these projects pushed forward to create jobs in BC.
It's a critical priority for us that our economic development as a province, that the opportunity we create is connected to the values of British Columbia, values of Canadians, that climate change is real, that we want to lift people out of poverty and give them opportunity. And that's what this project reflects.
Eby also says while 40% of Ottawa's nation-building projects are located in BC, he will be pushing to fast-track other projects that should be considered in the next round of federal funding. In Victoria, CFAX 1070 host Al Farabee has been arrested on child luring charges. Court records show the veteran broadcaster is charged with 1 count of telecommunicating to lure a child under 16 and 1 count of telecommunicating to lure a child under 18. Vancouver police tell CTV News it initiated an investigation in September 2024 and that Farabee was arrested in February 2025. Bell Media was not previously aware of the investigation until today. Farabee has worked for CFAX since 1994. The radio station is owned by Bell Media, which says Farabee has been suspended pending the police investigation. Pressure is building on the Port of Vancouver to do something about the flow of large container trucks going through residential neighborhoods in East Vancouver. CTV's Martin McMahon has more, with the Vancouver City Council now urging the port to make changes.
What we're dealing with here, especially on these residential streets, is just a shocking amount of container truck traffic.
Getting a bit of peace as a young mother is hard enough at the best of times. But with truck after truck rolling toward the port outside Michelle Brown Callistro's apartment on Dundas in East Vancouver, she's had enough.
They shake the floors of our house, they shake the windows. You can't sleep in the mornings, you can't concentrate, kids wake up from naps.
Brown Callistro's online petition has nearly 900 signatures, calling for a reopening of the Clark Drive entrance. It's been closed on and off since 2011, more recently in 2021, diverting traffic into more residential areas. Vancouver City Councillor Lisa Dominato's motion calling on the port to make changes passed unanimously this week.
And again, it may be a partial reopening of the Clark Drive overpass. Maybe it's a full reopening, looking at staggered schedules so that those inbound container trucks can use that route instead of going over to Commissioner. But I'm trying to be optimistic that the port wants to play ball.
Alexandra Hughes lives across the street with her young family. She has concerns about noise and safety, saying there have been objects coming off the trucks.
It's just horrifying. What if that hit my son? I can't even imagine what I would do. And they just drive by, they don't even know what's happened.
I have a hard time staying at home during the day. I have to take the kids out. I keep the windows closed all the time, year-round. With a lot of air purifiers running, I'm really concerned about the diesel exhaust.
The port declined our request for an interview, but says in a statement that early monitoring indicates that trucks make up a minority of commercial traffic on Dundas.
In the meantime, Brown Callistro and families like hers are left to wait and listen as the trucks continue to roll by. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
Vancouver police have tracked down the man who stole a beloved helmet from the BC Sports Hall of Fame. As CTV's Isabella Zavarisi reports, the family of the late Greg Moore is grateful.
Thanks so much, guys.
Relief, as a priceless piece of Canadian motorsport history is recovered.
A week ago, I honestly didn't think this moment would happen.
On September 3rd, Maple Ridge racing legend Greg Moore's helmet was stolen from the BC Hall of Fame, leaving Moore's family and the museum reeling.
I think it's safe to say that this was a crime of opportunity.
It took the Vancouver Police Department 9 days and extensive video review to track down a 39-year-old man on the downtown east side. He was arrested for theft over $5,000 and possession of stolen property.
Something like that's also harder to move because it has value just to certain people, and if they try to sell it and move it, we would hopefully know about it.
A little bit emotional actually, because we didn't think this helmet was coming back, so this is a really great day.
The helmet was loaned to the museum by Moore's family. He wore it during his 1998 victory in Brazil. Tragically, Moore died at only 24 years old. His legacy immortalized in the museum.
He was going to be great, and so I think it's a little bit of that, that potential and promise that was never able to be fulfilled.
Since the theft, the Hall of Fame has made changes. There's now a strict no-bag policy and more frequent walkthroughs from staff.
And with his fist in the air, he takes the checkered flag.
The museum says it was blown away by the public's support.
You never want to see anybody have things stolen or hurt in any way, but someone that was a true nice person and respected like Greg, I think that's where that reaction came from.
October marks the anniversary of Moore's death, a somber month. But there's now some comfort knowing a piece of who he was is in its rightful place. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
A former Sport Chek employee is speaking out after being fired for trying to stop a shoplifter. The woman says after years of physical and verbal abuse from thieves, she finally reached her breaking point. CTV's Ben Nesbitt has the story.
Aria Carter says she was asking a suspected shoplifter to leave the store when the man suddenly spat in her face. In another instance, a person attempts to enter the business after closing, prompting a physical altercation. Carter says these are just a few examples of incidents she endured during her 3-year stint at the Robson Street Sport Check.
It just degrades you. It makes you feel awful and terrible throughout the entire time you're working there, essentially.
Carter says shoplifting was a regular occurrence. During a shift a few weeks ago, she said she had finally had enough and went after a suspected thief.
I ran out after her, grabbed her by her backpack, and as pulling the backpack back, I was trying to tug of war the other item out of her.
Carter acknowledges this was a violation of the company's no touch, no chase policy, and it ultimately cost her her job.
To have all of this happen and then being told, just let them do it, essentially, like nothing's being done, nothing's going to fix this, and they continue to learn to come back in.
In a statement to CTV News, the company said in part, at select locations, including our Robson Street store, we've added external security support to further enhance safety. Employees also receive regular training to ensure familiarity with the policy. The Vancouver Police Department says the issue of violent retail crime has been on the rise since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, with many looking to fund a drug addiction and to profit from resales on the illicit market.
Using things like knives, needles, physical force, other weapons to get past store staff and security and to overcome resistance when they're confronted by store staff.
Earlier this year, the city created a task force made up of police and business leaders to look at the root causes of thefts. The findings are expected to be presented to council this fall.
Maybe it takes us all doing something to make a change.
Ben Nesbitt, CTV News, Vancouver.
3 people have been arrested in Burnaby after transit police busted an organized theft ring, seizing more than $200,000 in stolen goods. Metro Vancouver Transit Police say the arrest followed a search warrant last week linked to an online marketplace investigation. Officers seized thousands of dollars in cash and 14 bags filled with luxury items destined to be resold at malls across the region. A 46-year-old man, a 53-year-old woman, and a 30-year-old man were taken into custody. Police say charges for possession and trafficking of stolen property will be recommended. They are used by hundreds of thousands of people every year, but most of the city's community centers, pools, and rinks are in poor shape. That's the finding of Vancouver's Auditor General, who says in a report that recreational facilities are underfunded by tens of millions of dollars per year. Here's CTV's Ben Milger.
It's no secret many community centers in the city of Vancouver are showing their age. But residents might be surprised to learn just what condition many of them are actually in.
Maintenance of recreation facilities is a shared responsibility between the park board and the city.
That's the city's Auditor General, and this is his report laying out the scope of the problem. It says 72% of facilities were categorized as poor or very poor. One very high-profile example is the Aquatic Center, where part of an exterior wall collapsed in 2022.
I think anybody who's looked at our recreation facilities is not going to be surprised to see that they're in poor condition. I think what is really surprising in this report is the numbers that are in it in terms of how much of a deficit we have in our facilities.
The audit looked at 46 community centers, pools, and ice rinks, and found they collectively face a funding shortfall of $33 million per year.
We're talking about, instead of building new facilities for growth, we're going to be having to look at closing facilities because we don't have the money to maintain them.
The report points out the city does not have a comprehensive asset management framework and recommends it come up with one. The park board has oversight of the facilities, but maintenance is a shared responsibility between the board and the city.
We need to tighten some of that up and have a better form of communication between park board staff, real estate facilities management. It may even be that it should go back 100% to park board staff managing their own facilities.
Overall, the city faces an annual infrastructure deficit of $500 million, so the recreational facilities are just one small part of a larger problem. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
Pro-Khalistan groups once again descended on downtown Vancouver this morning to hold a demonstration outside the Indian consulate.
Shut down! Down to the house! Shut down! Down to the house!
It's been 2 years since then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau revealed Canadian authorities were investigating possible links between Indian agents and the killing of Surrey Sikh leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar. It was an announcement that rocked Canada-India relations in the wake of his murder in June 2023. Organizers say the protest is aimed at drawing attention to what they allege is continued intimidation of Sikh activists in Canada.
Team Nijjar was attacked with the knives and with the weapons, and one team member was admitted in hospital for 3 days. So it didn't stop. It's changing their way. Foreign interference is changing their faces. It's coming in a different ways now.
They say despite feeling intimidation, they will not stop demonstrating and fighting for their cause. A 400-year-old tree in Stanley Park has been cut down after the city deemed it dead and a public safety concern. Now, grassroots activists are speaking out, angry about the decision. As CTV's Yasmin Gandam reports, tree risk assessors concluded the tree was fine.
This is what's left of a 400-year-old Douglas fir, mere remnants of what the Stanley Park Preservation Society says was a symbol of Vancouver's history.
This is the first that I've seen it in real life, and it's just devastating.
The tree was cut down in the past month by the city of Vancouver. The 30-meter-tall Douglas fir, now wood chips on the ground.
Well, they've taken thousands of trees. They've taken thousands of hemlock trees that were not individually assessed as dangerous.
The Preservation Society hired 2 independent risk assessors who say so far it looks like it was standing safe and sound.
If you were to go and look at the flat top, you would see that the flat top is sound. There's no decay in the heartwood.
Inspectors say there was no reason to declare the tree dangerous, but the city says otherwise. In a statement to CTV News, the park board states the Douglas fir was removed after a rainstorm on August 15th. The statement says the tree was dead and large sections of bark hung over the trail, posing a significant safety risk.
So far, it was the wrong decision, but we haven't completed the testing yet. We're halfway through our testing. Our sounding indicates that the tree is safe and sound.
The Preservation Society says it will continue to fight tooth and nail to maintain the history of the iconic park.
We want transparency from the City of Vancouver, from the Parks and Recreation Department, and from the Park Board.
Yasmin Gandam, CTV News, Vancouver.
A new 12-bed treatment center has opened in Surrey to help young people struggling with substance use.
The new Healing House will provide a safe, compassionate space where young people can find the support and the care they need and deserve.
Healing House will provide live-in care for female identifying, and non-binary youth aged 17 to 24. Comprehensive support will be provided, including therapy, life skills training, and high school completion to help them successfully transition back into the community after treatment. A similar facility opened in 2023 to support young men with substance use and mental health challenges. Vancouver's own Ryan Reynolds has received the city's highest honor. The Hollywood star is being recognized for his contributions both on and off the screen. In a private ceremony today, City Council granted Reynolds the Freedom of the City, an award reserved for people who have brought recognition and pride to Vancouver. Alongside his wife, Blake Lively, Reynolds has donated thousands of dollars to local food banks and supported charities like Covenant House Vancouver. A stowaway cat has been reunited with its family on Vancouver Island after accidentally hitching a ride to Calgary. Risha Andrews first noticed Sherman was missing from their home in Courtenay last week and alerted her neighbors. A few minutes later, one of them got a frantic call from their daughter, who had just moved to Calgary and found a cat in the back of their U-Haul. Luckily, a relative was booked to fly back to the island the next day and was able to bring Sherman back to his family. Oh, it all ended happily. It's a good thing Sherman wasn't going, I don't know, to Toronto or Winnipeg.
Or internationally.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm sure he was still hungry, though.
Yes, definitely. He looks like a very well-fed cat and very happy indeed. All right, let's take a look at our forecast. We started off cloudy and cool this morning. Cleared up quite nicely, all thanks to this ridge of high pressure. Still anchored for the south coast and southern interior as well as the central interior. Low moving its way in for the north coast, bringing in heavy rain at times. So here's how everything will play out through the overnight into tomorrow morning. You will see periods of rain in the yellow through the afternoon and tomorrow night. That will be the rain picking up heavy at times as we head through the evening hours, slowly easing as we head into the next few days. So for us tomorrow, we'll see a mix of sun and cloud after the clouds clear out of the way. On Saturday, it'll stay dry, 20 degrees, mainly cloudy, but the rain comes Saturday evening into early sunny morning before it clears out of the way. We will say hello to fall under a mix of sun and cloud on Monday at 11:19 in the morning. Few clouds on Tuesday, clouds over on Wednesday, but then Thursday looking like a mix of sun and cloud once again, just around seasonal temperatures. So not too bad at all. The rain in the evening hours, just as we like it.
Perfect. Yeah, September, not much rain at all this month.
No, pretty dry.
All right, thanks a lot, Anne. Well, that's all for this online edition of CTV News at 6. We'll go back to regular programming tomorrow. Kevin Chirac will have your top stories on CTV News at 11:30.